I don't actually expect anybody to remember, but I had theories that there was something going on with school that would cause people to put their trust in organizations rather than their parents. And I think I found some proof. So this is a list of communist goals. It came out in 1963, so it's getting close to almost 50 years. Number one is US acceptance of coexistence as the only alternative to atomic war. Number two, US willingness to capitulate, which means cease to resist an opponent or an unwelcome demand, or surrender, in preference to engaging in atomic war. Number three is develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. Number four is permit free trade between all nations, regardless of communist affiliation and regardless of whether or not items could be used for war. 5. Extension of long-term loans to Russia and Soviet satellites. 6. Promote American aid to all nations, regardless of communist denomination. 7. Grant recognition of Red China. Admission of Red China to the UN. 8. Set up East and West Germany as separate states in spite of, I don't know that person's name, promise in 1955 to settle the German question by free elections under supervision of the UN. 9. Prolong the conference to ban atomic tests because the United States has agreed to suspend tests as long as negotiations are in progress. 10. Allow all Soviet satellites individual representation in the UN. 11. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one-world government with its own independent armed forces. 12. Resist any attempt to outlaw the Communist Party.
13. Do away with any loyalty oaths.
14. Continue giving Russia access to the U.S. Patent Office. That's weird. 15. Capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. 16. Use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. 17. Get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum. Get control of teachers' associations and put the party lines in textbooks. 18. Gain control of all student newspapers. 19. Use student riots to foment public protests against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. 20. Infiltrate the press. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy positions. 21. Gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures. 22. Continue discrediting American culture by degrading all forms of artistic expression. An American communist cell was told to eliminate all good sculpture from parks and buildings, substitute shapeless, awkward, and meaningless forms. 23. Control art critics and directors of art museums. Our plan is to promote ugliness, repulsive, meaningless art. 24. Eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. 25. Break down the cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and television. 26. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. 27. Infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. 28. Eliminate prayer or any phase of religious expression in the schools on the grounds that it violates the principle of separation of church and state. 29. Discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, out of step with modern needs, a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. 30. Discredit the American founding fathers. Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. I hit the maximum amount of text I can use in my video, so I'm sorry. 31. Belittle all forms of American culture and discourage the teaching of American history on the ground that it was only a minor part in the big picture. Give more emphasis to Russian history since the communists took over. 32. Support any socialist movement to give centralized control over any part of the culture. Education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics, etc. 33. Eliminate all laws or procedures which interfere with the operation of communist apparatus. 34. Eliminate the House Committee on Un-American Activities. 35. Discredit and eventually dismantle the FBI. 36. Infiltrate and gain control of more unions. 37. Infiltrate and gain control of big business. 38. Transfer some of the powers of arrest from the police to social agencies. Treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders, which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. 39. Dominate the psychiatric profession and use mental health laws as a means of gaining coercive control over those who oppose communist goals. 40. Discredit the family as an institution, encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. 41. Emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. Attribute prejudice, mental blocks, and retarding of children to suppressive influence of parents. 42. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of American tradition, that students and special interest groups should rise up and use united force to solve economic, political, or social problems. 43. Overthrow all colonial governments before native populations are ready for self-government. Number 44. Internalize the Panama Canal. 45. Repeal the Canali Reservation so the United States cannot prevent the World Court from seizing jurisdiction over domestic problems. Give the World Court jurisdiction over nations and individuals alike. Would you believe me if I told you communist parties and regimes historically develop systematic and often ruthless methods to deal with people who opposed, criticized, or deviated from the party's goals, policies, or leadership? Once in power, communist parties treated dissent, whether from within the party or society, as a threat to the revolution and dictatorship of the proletariat. Opposition was rarely tolerated as legitimate debate. It was framed as counter-revolutionary, bourgeois sabotage, or treason. The party emphasized democratic centralism, open debate internally, but absolute unity and obedience once a decision was made. Dissenters could be labeled factionalists and removed. Factionalist. This sets a precedent. Avoid direct conflict at all costs. Accept ideological competitors as permanent partners. Open the door to gradual integration influence. It's not about tanks. It's about slowly shifting norms so radical ideas become normal without people noticing. This isn't a secret conspiracy. Schwab bragged about it. It's a network training and placing aligned leaders in high places to push global agendas.
That we penetrate the cabinets and mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on. They all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's true in Argentina too. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's true in Argentina as well.
It's true in Argentina, and it's true in France now. Mm-hmm. I'm with the president, who is a young global leader.